Does LeBron James have a bag? Because this has been a hot topic in the news because of, people. Actually, it's been happening for a while. People have been talking about LeBron's bag and, or lack thereof. And LeBron clapped back at that. And so now let's talk about LeBron's bag and, my opinions on all this. So basically, what a bag is kind of like, I would define it as like a bag of tricks. So like someone like Kyrie Irving, we know, has a bag. Like he's got all the crazy, handle, although that's not, I guess that's kind of part of the bag, but like he has the crazy handle, he has the ball and the string. He can get anywhere. He has the footwork, the spin move, like everything, right? So Kyrie has a bag, right? And he's super effective with it. But that is the point I want to make. He's effective with it. Having a giant bag, but not being able to utilize it and score efficiently in the NBA, does the bag really matter then? Does your bag matter in the NBA if you can't score? If you can't lead your team to the finals, if you can't, get your shot off over the best defenders, does your bag really matter? So that's the point I kind of want to talk about and make. I don't really care to comment on how large of a bag LeBron has or whatever. Does LeBron have the biggest bag ever? Okay, no. Obviously, there are players throughout NBA history, like I said, Kyrie, for example, but other players who play today who have bigger bags, like more tricks, like they have certain things. But also you have to remember, because these players, someone like, again, we'll just keep talking about Kyrie because I mentioned him. Someone like Kyrie is not 6'9" and 250 like LeBron. So what that means is he doesn't have the overpowering, athleticism, strength, and size that LeBron has. So it's kind of like, when you're a certain type of player, you have to develop the best way and most efficient way for you to get your shot off and be the most effective player. So for example, when you're like a smaller player, and small is a relative term, right? Because if I stand next to any of them, I'm small and they're not small. So like in general terms, they're not small, none of them. But if you're a smaller NBA player compared to a LeBron, Victor Wembanyama, Giannis, those players who are super tall, who have the size and athleticism where they can overpower some people, if you are someone who is smaller, you have to be able to get your shot off over these people. So what do? You develop footwork, you develop your handle, you may be faster than those players, so you may be able to get around them. We know John Wall used to be one of the fastest players in the NBA. He was lightning quick. He can get by you any second, right? So everybody has to use whatever skill sets they have to their advantage and then develop skills around their disadvantages in order to, make them the best NBA player they can be. Because Steph Curry is not like the biggest athlete. Like how many times do we see Steph Curry dunk a year? Maybe once. Like every time he dunks, it's like the highlight, the highlight for his, dunk reel, right? But Steph Curry is still one of the greatest players of all time because he developed skill sets and skills around what he, is best at and used whatever he had to his advantage. So I say all that to say, playing basketball and just developing a bag, I think, is important. I know that people out there are saying, it's gotten too far, and I do agree with that. I think there has to be a balance, which I will talk about in a minute. But I think having a bag is important because I don't look at it as, developing a bag so you can be, have the craziest highlight, right? Like I understand that's why some of them are developing bags so they can look, really cool. And that's fine. Like I think that can be part of your motivation. You want to look cool while doing it. But I think having a bag is important because, again, going back to Kyrie, for someone like Kyrie, it helps him be efficient and be able to get his shot off and be a top tier scorer and, top player in the league. So I think having a bag is important because you need to have certain skills that are to your advantage to make you be able to get around your disadvantages. However, the fundamentals are just as, if not more important. If you don't have the fundamentals down, your bag is not going to get you very far. So this is kind of the point I was making earlier, is like you need a combination of the two. You need to be fundamentally sound, and coming from someone who's obviously not in the NBA, so again, fair enough. Like, my critique or my analysis is coming from someone who never played in the NBA. It's very hard. I understand. Like, again, if you watch this page, I'm never one to, over analyze or over critique, because I understand everything is always easier said than done. And when you're not actually doing it, it's easy to just look at it and be like, oh, you should do this, right? So with that in mind, if you don't have the fundamentals, though, your bag can only take you so far, because if you can't do certain basic things, your bag is not going to, get your shot off over, Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, it's not going to be able to work for you. And I think what people are trying to say is that what I just said 2 minutes ago is the point of developing a bag is to be able to have certain skills that may make you look cool, but to have them so you can have a competitive advantage over the defender because they're bigger than you or whatever it is. If you're just developing a bag to have the craziest spin move, right? You're just exerting energy for no reason. Like, in order to be the most effective and most efficient player, you need to be able to try to exert the least amount of energy while being the most effective. So, going back to the whole LeBron thing about his bag or lack thereof or whatever it is, again, I think anybody who says LeBron has no bag is obviously exaggerating. I obviously don't think he, again, has the biggest bag we've ever seen, but I don't think it matters either way, because LeBron, guess what? Gets it done. That's the point. Whatever gets it done, and he's still, efficient and effective. Like, he's 40 years old now. Let's talk about him in his prime, obviously. We're not talking about 40-year-old LeBron. Obviously, as the years went on, he developed more skills and stuff like that, because when he was younger, he relied more on his athleticism, right? Like, obviously, as he got older, he got better at the three-point shot because his athleticism is not what it was when he was 26, right? So, but what LeBron always did is, guess what? He was able to lead teams to the NBA Finals. He was able to win championships. And regardless of what you think his bag is or isn't, he still was dropping 30 every night, right? Or 25 or, whatever it was. So I say all that to say, whatever he was doing, whether he had a huge bag or not, was effective. So the point is, if you have a big bag and that makes you effective, then that's fine. I think developing a bag, but it doesn't make you effective, is not necessarily necessary, right? Like, the point is, like everybody says, the point is to put the ball in the hoop. That's literally the point of the game, to score more points than your opponent and to stop them from scoring points. So if your bag is just making you do like 16 dribbles and running the entire shot clock so you don't get a good shot up, your teammates don't get a good shot up, and you just turn the ball over, well, the bag didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to have, and maybe it's more of like, use it when you need it, but go to the fundamentals first. I don't know if that made sense. But basically what I'm trying to say is, like, you need a combination of both, I think. I think in today's NBA, you do need somewhat of a bag, unless you're like this crazy athlete who can just push everybody out of the way, right? Like there are people like that who exist, right? So fair enough. But like, even Jokic is very skilled for a big man. Jokic is not, he is not the most athletic, and he's not very fast. Although I think he's faster than people think he is. Like, I feel like he looks like he's moving in slow motion, but he's really not, if that makes sense. But Jokic is one of the greatest passers in the game right now. Jokic has, well, IQ is not a bag, but like, really high IQ. He's able to read the floor, of course. He is a very smart scorer, and he has some footwork, like he does. Jokic has some good footwork. But does he have the biggest bag in the NBA also? No, but does that matter when he's literally one of the best players in the NBA? Right? So, like, you have to have somewhat of a bag because you have to develop some skill sets that are advantageous to you so you can, have a competitive advantage over certain defenders who may have the size or strength over you. If we're talking about smaller versus bigger, and then maybe bigger versus smaller, the smaller guys may have speed on you and stuff like that. But what you can do is develop skills that make your disadvantages and your weaknesses look smaller, right? And again, the whole point is to put the ball in the hole. So my point is, having a bag, if you use it properly with your fundamentals, then it is beneficial to your team, right? But again, having the craziest spin move, if you're just exerting so much energy just to do one crazy dribble, one crazy whatever you're doing, how are you going to play 40 minutes in the playoffs? You're exerting 3 times the energy that LeBron exerted for the same shot. So LeBron just got 6 points. Let's put it this way. LeBron can score 3 times, so that's 6 points. And you, whoever it is, you scored 1 time and you exerted the same amount of energy. Who's winning? I think it's LeBron, right? Like, because he's going to get more points, more rebounds, more assists, whatever it is, while exerting less energy. So regardless if your bag is bigger, it's not scoring you more points. That's my point. Like I think having a bag is important to a certain degree. I don't think you have to have the biggest bag. I think you have to have something, of course, because at some point your athleticism, whatever it is, I just keep referring to athleticism because that's usually like the obvious answer as to, like where someone would lack development in a bag, because if you're a hyper athlete, then like it can compensate for other things, right? So you have to obviously get a bag somewhat because your athleticism will go at some point. But again, if LeBron's scoring 6 points, he's getting 3 shots up, and you took the same amount of energy just to score 1 shot, in the end, you're going to wear down. So I think the whole conversation about LeBron's bag and lack thereof is kind of a silly conversation, to be honest. I think it's a silly conversation. I don't really care if LeBron has the biggest bag or not, if that makes sense. Like, he has played in the league for so long and he's won at the highest level. Wherever you rank him all time doesn't really matter. He obviously is one of the greatest, right? Like, he's up there. And so whether he has no bag in your opinion, or a small bag, a medium bag, extra large bag, premium bag, whatever it is, whatever kind of bag he had got him his championships, his MVPs, the level that he is at. So to me, I think it's just like, what does it matter? Somebody said, yes, he has a great post-up bag. I don't know if you're talking about LeBron. I would assume you're talking about LeBron because I know I kind of ventured away from LeBron. But if you are saying that, that's my point. Like, he can have, a smaller bag than some other people. Like, he could have one thing he's really effective at and then some other things maybe he's not so effective at. But he's gotten it done enough where, like, there are people in the NBA with bigger bags who haven't accomplished what he has accomplished. And again, I will also be fair to some of those people, is that he does have the advantage of being 6'9", 250, crazy athlete, doesn't get hurt. I know recently, obviously, as he got older, he, gotten hurt. But, like, when he was younger, never got hurt. Like, he would just pop back up. If anybody else got that same kind of injury, it was like they were done. And for him, never got hurt. And obviously he has, such a high IQ, which helps him, be as great as he is. And then obviously he keeps himself in good shape and stuff like that. But I will say, you can't teach 6'9", 260, 250, whatever he is. You can't teach that. Like, he was born with that gift. He was born with the athleticism. And so he naturally has an advantage that some of these other players don't have. And so to be fair, if some of the other players with a bigger bag, let's say, also had that, you know, physical gift that they were born with, maybe they would also have won as much as LeBron. So I will also say he does have that advantage, as some players have, but like, they can't, nobody can help what you are born with, right? Like, nobody can change their size or nothing like that. All you can do is make yourself the best that you could be with the skills and the advantages that you have, and, you know, minimizing your weaknesses. So I'm not saying LeBron doesn't have his own advantage, which also helped him to, you know, dominate the league for a while, and also, I guess, allow him to not have to develop certain things, if like that makes sense. But at the same time, like, you don't you don't get to the highest level, is basically what I'm saying, by doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he had to do something in order to get there. It wasn't just like he grew up and he was automatically the best. You know what I mean? Like, he had to play and practice and do things as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't just LeBron woke up and now he's now he's a top tier NBA player, right? So I think it goes both ways. I think it's fair to say that LeBron doesn't have the biggest bag ever. I think that's fair to say. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think people are entitled to their opinion. I don't think, you know, people should be rude. That's where, you know, I always talk about, I don't think people should be like rude or disrespectful for no reason, but like, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone saying he doesn't have the biggest bag. And, you know, especially if like someone maybe played in the league or played basketball professionally overseas and, you know, stuff like that, who obviously have more of a experience actually playing and knowing what like the biggest bags look like up close and personal, you know what I mean? So like, fair enough, like, they definitely have an advantage to have a I guess, I don't want to say valid opinion, because they're all valid, but I'm saying like an opinion that comes with knowing, because they've been there, done that, right? So if somebody like that also said like, oh, LeBron doesn't have the biggest bag, okay, it doesn't, because I don't think LeBron has the biggest bag. I don't think he has no bag though. Like, I think that's a little silly. I think that's silly if people say he has no bag. He doesn't have the biggest bag, but again, I don't think it matters what size bag he has. That's why I think this conversation is silly. I think it's just a silly conversation that I just participated in as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And someone said, before I go, I see someone said, he's a great passer, but sometimes he has tunnel vision, which results in a turnover. I guess you're talking about Jokic, because I was talking about his passing. I don't know though, but yeah, Jokic is a really good passer. I mean, everybody turns the ball over sometimes, but like, it is what it is. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you I'm just like thinking about what I said and I'm just laughing. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this live stream and see you soon. Bye.